In this section, we are going to look at how virtualization is used in the cloud. It was mentioned earlier that virtualization is a key building block to cloud computing. Well, how is it so? And how does it provide numerous advantages to the cloud computing model? These are the things that we're going to discuss, and we'll be going through just some of the major benefits. Benefits like shared resources. Benefits like elasticity, or the ability to vary dynamically to meet certain workloads. The benefit of network and application isolation, infrastructure consolidation, and others. It's important for us to understand these so that we can relate those to management as we are deciding to move towards a cloud computing environment. Virtualization is a very key building block to cloud computing. It serves a key purpose. Even though it's not a requirement, it's a component that makes it a lot more possible to have scalability, elasticity, an on-demand type of environment. Virtualization essentially is allowing an organization to easily scale the environment up and or down to meet their particular needs. And so when you combine cloud computing and virtualization, you have the ability to take advantage of essentially unlimited computing resources. Because I'm now utilizing the computing resources from an external cloud provider. So virtualization is going to continue to be a very big aspect of any cloud computing. A technology that allows a cloud provider to provide very low-cost hosting environments to organizations, regardless of their size, that allows organizations to take advantage of this ability to grow and contract on demand. Essentially, it's treating computing resources like this centralized resource and letting me dynamically allocate that to business units. The cloud provider still maintains control of the resources and the applications. The reason that virtualization is such a key building block to cloud computing is because of these advantages that it provides. And we're going to go through a list of benefits that you get when using virtualization in the cloud. The first of these main benefits is shared resources. The underlying resources, the underlying fabric, that is a centralization of your compute shared resources. And what we mean by that is the processor and the memory. These resources are now able to be distributed by the cloud provider on an as-needed basis to the consumer. What's that going to do? It's going to improve efficiency and reduce cost. It's also going to simplify the process of sharing compute resources. Now, when we look at virtualization, it's not as we said, it's not a requirement for the cloud, but by utilizing virtualization and the cloud computing model, you get multiple capabilities, okay? So the shared resources, the cloud is really adding a layer of management that allows virtual machines to be created very quickly and scaled out based on the demands of the organization, okay? So virtualization provides for a more efficient utilization of hardware, a dynamic creation capability, and then the cloud is adding the pool of resources, right? So what an organization may have lacked in their own environment, they are not going to lack when using the cloud computing model, because the shared resources are not only there and easily accessible, but they are almost inexhaustible. That leads us to the second benefit, elasticity. Now, when I say almost inexhaustible, presumably they are inexhaustible. It's the pay as you grow kind of concept, and you get what you pay for. And if you would like more, then purchase more. Elasticity allows compute resources to vary dynamically in order to meet a particular workload. Workloads in any environment with any application are going to be variable. I need the ability to grow at peak times, and then I need the ability to contract. You think about that, you don't have that typically, and this is one of the main reasons that cloud computing models are utilized. You have this inexhaustible set of resources. You're not going to need anything close to what they can provide, and in the event that you don't need it, you want to stop paying for it. That's elasticity. And it provides this ability to scale up and scale down on demand to meet the current application requirements. And it's advantageous to both sides. The cloud provider can provide you with the resources, which you will pay for, based on what you currently need. So they're able to make money on your peak times, right, by providing you with those resources. But the organization is also able to conserve money, taking advantage of hardware efficiency would normally have caused a reduction in power, and that would have saved the organization money. So with elasticity, we can have the application or the requirements scale back down and save money as well. Now, cloud providers will also use the concept of resource pooling to allow resources to serve multiple consumers using a multi-tenant model. Going back to the cloud provider side of it, they don't want to have this inexhaustible set of resources that is, that's not used. So they are pooling together, noting that many individual consumers will not even need to exhaust the resources in their own pool. And so the cloud provider can manage it a little bit better with that resource pooling concept. The third benefit is the network and application isolation. Cloud computing and virtualization can enhance network security, and they do so through isolation. Without isolation, it would be possible for one individual consumer to monopolize all the resources. And so cloud computing can prevent that from happening. Proper configuration of this type of isolation is going to include resource control and security using network isolation. And some scenarios will warrant that network traffic is isolated. Okay, so we need to separate, especially your tenants, but you also want to separate some applications so that they don't cause compatibility problems with others, as well as reasons to provide additional security and afford higher bandwidth to higher priority traffic, in other words, traffic shaping. I'm not saying as much about this. We'll be talking about networking infrastructures, and this is just something, it's a level of isolation, especially in multi-tenant, that is provided. But even within the same tenant, you've got isolation because of these virtual machines. Think of virtual NICs and virtual switch configurations, VLAN IDs. It is software-defined networking when we get into the cloud computing environment. So if I can envision it and connect it, then I'm able to do it because we are making all of those configuration changes logically. The fourth benefit to using virtualization in the cloud is infrastructure consolidations. Virtualization as a whole allows your organization to consolidate its servers, allowing multiple virtual machines to run on a single physical host. We know that about virtualization. Well, we can take advantage of that, of course, in a cloud computing environment. A cloud computing environment technically takes it a step further, allowing us not only to take advantage of virtualization, but to purchase resources, compute resources from the cloud provider. Those two, they go hand in hand. That's probably less of a connection than the previous benefits. I still don't need as many compute resources because of virtualization. Benefit number 5, the virtual data center creation. Virtual data centers offer all the resources of a physical data center, okay? And it's implemented, same concept. The virtual data center offers, in addition to resources, network infrastructure, storage, backup, security, it also offers virtualization, pay-as-you-grow billing, that ability to purchase whatever resources you need in the future in order to scale out, but then also to be able to scale back down. So it provides elasticity, scalability. So the things that we've kind of been describing are because it's a virtual data center. The cloud computing model says, okay, I'm going to provide this capability to be elastic, and it's utilizing virtualization, but it's still controlling all of it. So it really is the collection of these two technologies and how they've evolved into what we now know today as cloud computing. And so, we always, as professionals in a particular field, obtaining a certification, we always want to know kind of the reasons behind collectively how these technologies are working to provide the business benefits. And that we have again here in this section, kind of highlighting the benefits of using virtualization in the cloud. In this section, we looked at using virtualization in the cloud and discussed the major benefits that virtualization brings to cloud computing. It is, of course, a key building block in cloud computing because it treats compute resources as a centralized resource, and it allows for the dynamic allocation of those resources to business units, which is exactly what cloud computing is going to allow me to do. Well, the first major benefit was the fact that we did use shared resources, which can improve efficiency and reduce costs, along with just simplifying the process of sharing those resources. Elasticity is a big word that we use in the cloud, but it simply means that we can vary the resources that are utilized dynamically to meet different workloads. Virtualization provides network isolation, application isolation, which is important for multi-tenant environments, as well as infrastructure consolidation, allowing multiple virtual machines to run on a single physical host, and an easier ability for the creation of virtual data centers. So as we saw, virtualization is a huge part to the cloud computing model.